Hi, this is George Alger, and welcome to today's segment of Our Ventura TV. Today we're going to be talking about the California Oil Museum, and our guest today is Elena Waller, who is the interim director of the California Oil Museum. Welcome, Elena.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Now, for those who may not know or could use a new introduction, what is the California Oil Museum?
Well, the California Oil Museum is a history and science museum. We are located in Santa Paula, in the recognized area where the oil industry was actually formed in 1890 in California. We are in the downtown district, in the historical downtown district, and we're actually located in a building that was built in 1890 for the sole purpose of having the headquarters, the former headquarters for Union Oil.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you should say that because I happen to love the museum. I've been there many times over the years, but even by that definition, it doesn't really emphasize oil. There seems to be a permanent exhibit in there on oil, but nevertheless, when I'm going there, I'm always seeing things that have nothing to do with oil. So
yes,
that's a good clarification that it is broader in its work there.
Right. Our focus is mainly on, in the sciences, is mainly on earth sciences. So we have an educational program that actually works with workshops in the earth sciences. So a lot of times you see our rotating exhibits and people think, what does this have to do with oil? It actually has to do with the earth sciences that we have a lot of focus in for our education program.
Okay, and then when the name was actually established as the California Oil Museum, was there a bigger focus back then on oil as opposed to earth science?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak for the former directors that were there and what their emphasis was. But I know it was the Santa Paula Union Oil Museum at one point because it is actually owned by the city of Santa Paula. We're actually we're transferring right now from the city to our nonprofit organization, foundation organization that we have. So our main focus is really on the history of oil in California, and then also with education in the earth sciences. So.
Good. So let's speak about education and also involvement with the community.
Right.
How'd you like to sort of open this up?
Okay. Well, we need to get back to the community, and one of the ways that we do that, we feel that we can do that, is by having our K through 12 education program. That's a really important program that we have. It is an earth science education program and history. So as the students come to us, we service about 4,000 students in the local area, and they come and learn about things like rocks and minerals and sands and soils and earthquakes and plate tectonics, natural oil seeps. And it's a wonderful way for them to get a non-formal education on the sciences that is so desperately needed. We're a support unit for the school districts themselves.
Good to hear. Yeah. When you mention K to 12, does that mean that the grades come back every year and learn something new? Okay.
We have teachers that bring back their classes almost every year. It's a wonderful program. We also have grants so that students that are in Title I school districts can actually apply for grants and come for free. And we also have busing grants so they can come for free and with their buses as well. So it's a way of giving back to our community.
Good. Mm-hmm. So then in this case, as an earth science adjunct to the schools, is it hands-on completely within the museum, or are you going on field trips as well?
Well, a lot of it has to do with our museum because it's such a beautiful museum in itself, and it's so historical. It is wonderful to have the children come in and they can look at this Queen Anne style Victorian building and really learn about the 1800s, the later part of the 1800s, and how the people actually came out to California and were pioneers in their time, exploring California lands and building this oil industry. So it's a wonderful way to get the children out, but we do actually have outreach programs where we go out to the school as well. So we also have a summer camp program that explores museums, and we do that in conjunction with the Santa Paula Art Museum, which is right next door to us. So we bring the sciences and the arts together, and we have that during the summertime. So
good to hear. The museum is also a historical monument to
Yes,
me,
it
anyway.
is.
I mean,
Right.
it's a pretty notable building. Could you speak a little bit about its history?
Certainly. The building was actually created, it was completed in 1890. It was for the sole purpose of housing the headquarters for Union Oil. Now, Union Oil was one of the very first companies in the area that was drilling for oil and were successful in the area. We had Lehman Stewart, Wallace Hardison, and Thomas Bard. Maybe some people have heard of Thomas Bard. These were the founders of Union Oil, and they created this building so that the second floor, they could have their offices up there. So that's one of the things that we do at the museum is we give tours of this beautifully restored second floor of the offices for Union Oil. And it's a historical tour. We ask that you give a call ahead of time just to make sure that we have tour guides. But it's just something that shouldn't be missed because the downstairs area is a self-guided tour. You can go through it and find everything you want. You can go to the cable tour, the turn-of-the-century cable rig. And that's an amazing thing. But the upstairs is really just a little gem of our museum. So we ask people not to miss that.
Yeah, I concur. Do you know what year it became a museum?
Yes, the museum actually was started, the downstairs area was actually started in 1950. Now, the downstairs area was always intended for merchants, and we had the Santa Paula hardware store that started there in 1890. Union Oil would actually realize how important that hardware store would be and would actually buy them out a little later. So they actually owned the hardware store as well as owning the headquarters upstairs. But in 1950, they decided to turn the downstairs area and not have any more merchants down there into a museum. And that's where the cable rig, the turn-of-the-century cable rig, was originally housed. And then in 1990, the upstairs area where Unocal, who took over Union Oil, actually decided to turn that area into a museum upstairs and refurbish it back to its original design and layout from the 1890s. So the upstairs became a museum in 1890. The rig was moved outside to its own building, and it's actually running today. So if you go out there, you can actually see it run from the boiler all the way to the drilling platform.
Nice exhibit.
Yeah.
The building itself is also unique, as I recall, because it was the first or one of the first buildings of its size or just brick or something like that?
Yes, it was one of the most noticeable buildings during that time period because of the size, the massive size of it. I think it was only second to one of the buildings here in Ventura, but I don't know the history behind that. The building itself is a Victorian era, Queen Anne style, and it is probably one of the most pristine, restored commercial Victorian buildings in California today. So if you love architecture, then this is definitely a gem that you need to come and see.
Good. Now let's talk about volunteers.
Okay.
All right, the opportunities for volunteers
Right.
in whatever capacity that could be associated with the museum.
Well, volunteers, it's no secret that nonprofit museums run on volunteers. If it wasn't for the time and consideration of volunteers, our doors would not be open today. But not only do we get the benefit of volunteers coming in and helping us out, but we feel that our volunteers get the benefit of being able to connect with their community. They can come out, meet new people, they become docents, giving the history of their community back to the visitors and students that come out to visit the museum. And it's a great way to give back and get for yourself as well. It's just a wonderful opportunity. Most of our docents have been with us for 10 plus years, so
Wow.
we must be doing something right. It is pretty fun.
Now, for those who might not know, could you describe what a docent is?
A docent is actually a volunteer. Some are paid, most are not. Ours are not paid, but what they do is they actually learn a little bit more than a volunteer would. They would learn the history behind what was going on, leading tours, like leading the tours on the second floor, where the Union Oil offices are. So they would give the history behind the oil industry in California and the history behind Santa Paula as they're taking you on the tour upstairs.
Okay, very good. So we're running out of time here.
Okay.
I'm wondering if there is a website that viewers can go to for more information,
Right.
and if there's a summating message you'd like to convey to the viewers.
Wonderful. Well, we do have a website, and we invite you to go to it. It's www.caloilmuseum.com. And I think what I like the community to know about the museum is that we're actually there as a resource for them to come and learn about the oil industry, to come and learn about the earth sciences, either through our K through 12 education programs, our rotating exhibits, or even our speaker series lectures for our adults. It's a way for you to come and learn more about your community.
Could you just comment on the speaker series for the adults?
Yes, that was the project that I actually started when I came to the museum in 2015. And I noticed that we had many programs for young children, but nothing for the adults. So what I've done is started a speaker series lecture that runs every month, and this gives an opportunity for the top scientists, educators, and local historians to come out and really talk about the earth sciences or our local history. And it's a great way to meet someone in your neighborhood and get up to date with what's going on in the sciences or history today.
Great idea, well done.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Elena.
Thank you.
This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again,